Good morning, Jaguars. This is Fahad, and I am back from Europe. Today is Tuesday, October 4th. Couple of things I want to quickly discuss, and I will include this video in the first read that's about to go out shortly. Here is first of all is the S&P chart. So a lot of volatility for the last week, for the last 5 to 6 days while we and Abu was running the show in the chat room. But really, at the end of it, we are still forming this wedge right here. Are we going to break out? Are we going to break down? Looks to me that we might be coming to a resolution pretty soon. Let's say in about a week or so, we're going to find out exactly which way we're going to go. Are the bulls are going to win, or are the bulls are going to win this battle, or the bears are going to take everything down, big time? Now, earnings season is coming up, so that's one thing in about a week and a half. So that's going to coincide with the technicals over here. Plus, we have the second debate, the presidential debate in America that's coming up. So you never know what Donald Trump might say or what may happen. There's also some report out there that WikiLeaks was about to release a very, very large report today, Tuesday, but it was supposedly for security concern. It was pushed out for indefinite time. And I guess there were some people that were looking at or forecasting that there will be some major surprises related to political side in the United States based in these WikiLeaks. So that could happen any moment. And then most importantly, we have Deutsche Bank, which continues to crash, though it bounced very sharply last week on rumors that they are going to settle with the Department of Justice for $5 billion, which has not been confirmed yet. And the original anticipated amount was $14 billion. So a lot of things that are outside events, okay? You know, I say this all the time. You know, anytime when you take a look at a news flow, you want to ask yourself, is it just noise or news? If it's news, then it has sticking power. If it is just noise, then expect any kind of sell-offs to be buying opportunities or any kind of rip hires to be selling opportunities. So is it noise or news? You always want to focus on these things. So a lot of outside events that are taking place, some of this is just pure noise. So let's see which way the S&P goes. Right now it seems to me that it's going to continue to form this wedge, but it's coming to resolutions pretty soon. Quick word on Deutsche Bank. So here's the charts. You know, huge volume of spike last week, but I think a lot of it was short covering. I want to mention one thing that in Europe, while everyone was watching Deutsche Bank stock, right, and we discussed this a little bit, the thing that I was paying attention to, and I wish I had time to put a quick analysis on this together and present it in the chat room or by separate email, the Deutsche Bank stock may have bounced sharply from 11 to 12 or almost $13 a share. But if you look at the credit default swaps, right, CDS, where all the debt of the company is traded, those continue to widen sharply. I mean, they were widening on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, every single day. The credit default swap of Deutsche Bank continued to move higher, and that tells me that there is still increasing amount of anxiety around whether the company is going to actually do a very large secondary share offering, which I believe they're going to have to do no matter what, or there's going to be some major default coming. But basically, the bond market is what you want to know. The bond market is incredibly more worried about Deutsche Bank than the actual stock itself will imply. So, you know, this was a very good high volume spike, but take it with a grain of salt, because we could very well just fail here. We could just form a let me just show you clearly. We could just form a doji here and then roll over again, and then Deutsche Bank could be to $4 or $5 a share. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go in that direction. I'm just telling you that the bond market is a lot worried about Deutsche Bank than the stock market is. So keep that in mind. All right, quickly, I want to discuss 3 different stocks that you want to watch today. Okay, so they're going to be movers today, and maybe for the next 1 or 2 days as well. So the first one is Las Vegas Sands, LVS. Now, LVS had a fantastic breakout on Monday, yesterday. You see there was forming a beautiful base over here, right here, and then it just broke out through this $58 level. It was a pretty strong close, and more importantly, it had a very nice volume behind it. So let me show you where is the, here's the LVS chart. Right here. So you can see there was a pretty interesting volume push on this. If I just go here, you'll see that it was a big volume spikes. I love it because that tells me that the momentum is firmly intact. So we saw this big volume spike when we broke out here in July, and then again we broke out in September, and then once again volume spike right here, and now we have another volume spike right here. So every single time when the stock rallies, it has high volume behind it, which means the push continues, which means the story continues to be better. Too many buyers, not enough sellers, and that means the momentum stays to the upside. So now, what's the news today? Bank of America is finally changing its mind. Or, they were starting to warm up for several months, but now they're finally starting to change its mind. So here is the report. This is from this morning, as you can tell, from October 4th. We are upgrading LVS to buy. All right, so Paris trumps Palace. Now remember, Paris, or Parisian, is the new casino that LVS opened in Macau recently, and a month before that in August, Palace, or Wynn Palace, was the new casino that was opened by Wynn in August. So Q3 was full of major catalysts for Macau and for the gaming stock. So, but in this entire note, what gets my attention, and by the way, I'll include this report, this note in my first read email, so you have it. But this is what matters at the end of it. September GGR ahead of expectations, second straight beat. So total Macau market gross gaming revenues GGR growth in September was 7.4% year over year versus Bloomberg consensus of 4%. The range at the consensus was 0 to 5%. So we went, the September came so strong at 7.4 that it was well above the highest street estimates, the highest range of the estimates on the street. And this is despite the September is typically impacted by a traditional pre-gold week, golden week low. So basically you have pre-golden week. Golden week comes up sometime later. And so what you have is September tends to be actually a bad, or so generally a weak month, usually, typically, historically speaking. But this because we had Macau opening, we had the Wynn Palace open on August 22nd, and then after that we have LVS Parisian open on September 13th. So both of those really sharply impacted the month of September. And that tells me that with a beat like this, 7.4% in September, we should see very good numbers in Q3 from the entire casino space in Macau. This should be nothing new here. We have been talking about this for a while. Just to quickly show you the chart, these two charts really get my attention. Notice how the Macau quarterly GGR, you see how it was coming down. These are quarterly numbers. They were coming down sharply, sharply, sharply. This is in billions. And then they finally saw a huge uptick, and this is an estimate for Q4 2016. We're going to see some fantastic number in Q3, and then much more so in Q4, because the momentum will continue to Q4. This is the year-over-year change, same data as here, but this is the year-over-year change, but it's presented by quarter. So we're going to have first, the Q4 2016 is going to show a 10% increase after 1% increase in Q3. So expect this is the first major rebound after 2 years. So expect these stocks, both of them, to do very well. So just wanted to show this note. LVS is already breaking out. Good thing is, favorite Wynn has pulled back a little bit. You see that this was a major range breakout right here, and it was on very, very heavy volume. But then it has finally come back. There is major volume of price support right over here, around $96 a share, and it's starting to bounce. So let's see if it stops here and then start a new leg higher. Let me show this closely. Let's see when it stops here and takes a new leg higher, and then in that case you want to see this go from $99 a share towards retest of this prior highs around 109.50, and possibly take that out to 115. So put this chart over here real quick. This is what you're expecting. So right here is the 6-month chart, and let me do this. It's more like 7-month chart to get a better picture. Here you go, and I'm going to increase the bars here to, here you go. So see how it's making this zigzag. It finally broke out through this. It was a good volume behind it, then it came back down. Now let's see if it starts to form a base here, a little bit base like it did here, here. And if so, you're going to see this take out another leg higher from here and go towards 108, 109. So if I see any option activity, I will point out, so keep that in mind. So that was Wynn and Las Vegas. The second thing I want to discuss quickly is Micron. Micron is reporting earnings today. after market close. October 4th, today, after market close. So this is the consensus. This is a beautiful chart that continues to goes higher. You know, small deceleration a little bit. The momentum is sort of slowed down a little bit. The MACD has come down just a little bit. The RSI has come down just a little bit, but nothing major over here. I mean, this is basically just after a long morning walk. It's nothing more than just a pause over here. The question is it going to break out? Well, I want to show you something that I got from Micron, from Morgan Stanley about Micron. This was yesterday. Okay, this came in my inbox yesterday, October 3rd. There are three things they talk about. First, this is a Micron preview, and it talks about where they expect Micron quarter to be very, very good, but they expect the company is going to issue November guidance, November quarter guidance, to be conservative. So, by the way, excuse my throat, I'm doing. Bank of America is out with the same note and is talking about the same thing. They also see a very, very good quarter from Micron today, but they expect the company is going to be very conservative with their November guidance. Morgan Stanley is saying the same thing. So expect maybe slight disappointment over there, but it's not going to be something significant because the pricing power continues to improve. The most important thing in this note is really this. The SIA, which is the independent organization that monitors the semiconductors activity. The Semiconductors Industry Association data for the month of August was reported over the weekend. This was last weekend when I was in Europe. And it showed overall trends 2% ahead of expectations. So that's the key right here, right? So based on this particular data alone, the guidance should really actually be very good for November. But the management always tries to be very, very conservative. They're going to probably end up really lowballing the guidance in November. Here's the point what I'm trying to make. I'm going to give about 70% chance. I'm going to give about 70% chance that Micron is going to pop higher after earnings today, after market close. But if it doesn't, if for any reason, because of conservative guidance, you see the stock actually pull back because it has run up so much, that weakness that you'll see tomorrow is going to present a buying opportunity because I expect November is going to be a phenomenal month. All right, so November is going to be strong, very strong month. So I expect any pullback to be a buying opportunity. Also, on the debt restructuring side, the company refinanced the debt recently. They got rid of their old debt, all right, and they basically replaced it with new debt. And as a result, they were able to lock in lower interest rate. And as such, the company, Morgan Stanley, expect that this will add about 5 cents to the EPS in calendar year 2017 and 18. So that's another small little positive. It goes into the detail, the whole debt refinancing over here. So pretty bullish note. Bank of America is out with the same kind of bullish note. So all those things. So Micron, keep that in mind. I expect this to pop. I'm going to assign about 70% probability. Probably goes to 19. But if it doesn't, if it sells off, expect a bounce right here. Support will come into play around 16.20. And if so, that will present a buying opportunity in my opinion. Last thing I want to discuss is SPR, Spirit Aerosystems. I caught this as I came back last night, I was at 10 o'clock. I slipped into my office to see if I missed any action, if there was anything unusual that was popping up on my screen. Spirit Aerosystems, as you know, is an auto parts supplier for the aerospace industry, specifically Boeing. And previously, the stock has seen significant amount of volatility because of disruptions in A350 space, which is the Airbus. So sometimes the order log goes up, sometimes the order log comes down. A lot of things happen. Also, the company is restructuring some of the facilities, and so that results in big movement in margins and so on. And so there was a piece of news yesterday that caused the stock to pop big time right here, and it was very high volume behind it. And this kind of power candle that comes up to technical resistance tells me that, whenever there's power move like this behind it on a high volume with MACD and RSI bull cross, it tells me that, yeah, it may pause for a day or two, but it has the power behind it. It has the thrust behind it that's going to break out and continue to move higher. To show an example of this, go back to the chart right here. I just put this up. So let me pull up my Spirit Aerosystem chart. Here you go, right here. You see there's a trend resistance right there. It comes down. Notice there was a very high volume back in August after company reported earning. It spiked, but then it failed. at the trend resistance, which, by the way, this trend resistance corresponds with a 200 moving average, which is the pink line behind it, as you can see a little bit. And then I tried again in September, but then the rest of the market went into weakness, so the stock fell off, and now it's trying again. This time, once again, very high volume. MACD is rising, RSI is rising. So if it breaks out over here, look for this to go up to 47.70. Call it right here, 47.70, 47.80, which is good, about $2.50 to upside, or $2 to upside. That's about 4 to 5% to upside. The reason why I brought this up is because in the option market, just before market close, they were buying SPR calls yesterday. So see right here, this is October 46 calls, 490 contracts were bought. This is November 46 call, 570 contracts were bought. And if you look at the open interest today, October 46 is higher, and November 46 open interest is higher. These were not small. These are not big size lots. These were decent size lots. You know, I mean, like a total of 500 contracts were basically bought in October and November. By my calculation, they bought approximately, let's call it $220,000 worth of calls. So, call buying in October and November. We have. Now, what was the news yesterday? Why did the stock pop hard? That's because, remember, I mentioned earlier, the company has been restructuring its facilities in order to basically reduce the negative impact on margin on some underperforming assets. The news came out yesterday that the company sold one of its key facilities that was underperforming for a long time. They sold that business to what was the name of the company? Orbit's Aerosystems. They sold that yesterday for a decent profit, and now that means the debt on the balance sheet is going down, and the margins are gradually improving. So it's all financial engineering. It has nothing to do with revenues or income, but it's all financial engineering, but it's good enough for the stock to pop. So see if it can take out this resistance. That's the key over here. If it takes out all this resistance, I think this can climb all the way up to $47 to $48 level, which is right here. All right, so SPR, keep an eye on that. Micron earnings tonight. If it sells off, it's a buying opportunity. Otherwise, I assign 70% chance of this popping higher tonight. Last one, LVS is catching upgrade. Look for this to pop again today. It's already probably trading in pre-market over 60. Let me see. Yeah, pre-market is trading close to $60 a share right here. So it's already right over here. But to be honest with you, I'm more interested in WIN, which has pulled back actually, and let's see if it can start a new leg high from here. All right, that's it. Thank you.